Okay, this will be a video demonstration of my first PC build. This tower here is a PS08 in white. As you can see, we're going with a white theme here in this room. It's going to be using an ASRock B150 motherboard with an Intel i5-6500. Got 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4 RAM. A Zotac GTX 1050 Ti video card, an EVGA 430 watt power supply, and then we're going to have 1 terabyte hard drive and a 120 gigabyte solid state drive. So first thing you want to do here, because we'll be working on carpet and there's static electricity here, first thing you want to do is plug in your power supply and then ground yourself on it. Just touch it once in a while, make sure you're grounded so you don't damage any components. So next thing we're going to do is install our CPU. Now the way you do that is you just lift this tab right here, and what you do is you line up this triangle here with the triangle on the corner of your CPU. Okay, so that should just drop right in like that. You don't have to force it or nothing. See, the triangles are lined up there. Next thing you want to do is just close this cover. And so when you go to tighten that down, you just push this handle down and that little black cover should pop right off. There it is. You can remove it. Now in this build we'll be using the stock CPU cooler. So here it is, there's already a thermal paste installed on it. And then you just go line up those little legs with the little holes in the motherboard. So to connect these, all you got to do is you get them in the hole, push them in like so, wait till they click like that. Now that thermal paste should spread itself. So next thing you want to do is you want to look at your motherboard instructions, see where it calls out for your CPU fan to be connected. In this case it's number 2, pretty much right above the CPU. So just plug it in, that one right there. Alright, sorry I had to switch cameras there, that other one wasn't recording very good. Next thing we're going to do is install the RAM. So all I got to do is, in here you can see there's 4 slots, 1, 2, 3, 4. What you want to do is you want to stagger your RAM. So if you want to put one stick in DDR1, you put it in B1. So if you put one in A2, you put the other one in B2. So the other thing you want to make sure of is these only go in one way. You can see the little tab right there. It lines up with the tab in your motherboard. Hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna go ahead and install that now. Okay, so next thing you want to do is install your standoff so you can install your motherboard. Standoffs, they come in the case. There's a bag of them. So we'll go ahead and put those in and then we'll throw the motherboard on it. Okay, so I went ahead and got my standoffs installed. On this case it's pretty easy, they're all marked with a little M. You won't be able to see it, this is painted. And then that allows your motherboard just to sit elevated above any metal surface. So next thing we're going to do is we're just going to drop the motherboard in there and use these 9 screws to hold it down. We put the screws in on that motherboard. You can see I pulled out the 2 slots at the back here. So one's going to be for the video card, the other one's going to be for my wireless internet card. So before we install the motherboard, I'm going to install the video card and the wireless card, and those, they just go right here on the PCIe slot. So the long one is for the video card, and then those little ones, those are going to be for the wireless. Once those cards are installed, we're going to install the hard drives. So the solid state drive. It just fits right nicely right on the bottom here. You can see there's some screw locations there. And then so it looks like you need to remove your RAM in order to get your hard drive in. Okay, so the drives are installed. This one here is ridiculously close to the RAM, so we might have an issue there with the power cable. That SSD was perfect right on the bottom there. Tucks away nice and neat. I don't think we're gonna have an issue plugging anything in. So next thing we want to do here is just install this 80mm auxiliary fan that I bought. The case only comes with a 120, so I figured I'd put another one right in the back here. Okay, so with the case fan, this one, usually the case fans have an arrow pointing out what way the fan's gonna blow air. This one did not, so I took a best guess, left it loose on there. So when I power it up, I'll see if it's blowing the right way. I want it to go out. So if it's blowing the right way, I'll leave it on, tighten it down. If not, I'll just switch it around. Okay, so next thing we want to do is just install our power supply. It's just going to go right on top of here. And then we're going to be able to power everything up. Okay, so power supply is installed. Next thing we got to do is just connect all these loose ends. And then also, sorry, the front cover has to be installed. And then all these ends connected. So pretty much all you got to do is you got to follow this wiring diagram from your motherboard manual and plug everything in where it needs to go. So we'll do that and we'll catch up with you in a second. Okay, so I got all my cables routed. The only one I didn't route was this one. It's my SATA 3 cable for my hard drive. I got the SSD plugged in right now, so I'm gonna use that to boot off of. So all we got to do now is plug it in, get an HDMI cable, and see if we can get into the BIOS. All right, we got everything plugged in. We got the wired keyboard and mouse. So we're just going to turn this thing on. And then hit delete. And that'll get us into the UEFI mode. Okay, so here you can see it's reading everything. So it's got the Intel i5-6500, it's got the two 8 gig sticks of RAM, it's got only my one SSD in there, it's got my fan speeds, boot priority, so that's set right now just to the solid state drive. Because that's what we're going to boot off of, and then it's got temperatures up here, so CPU temp, motherboard temp, and then CPU voltage. So the next thing we're going to do now that we made sure everything was working, is to get Windows. So to do that, you need to go on the Microsoft website. You need to download an ISO file of Windows, and I put it on this USB drive. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this thing in, and then we're going to boot off of this drive, and then that will install Windows. So just so you know, Control-Alt-Delete is the restart button once you're in your UEFI. So right now I'm just hitting F11. Alright, so this is going to ask me what I want to boot off of right now. So this is our solid state drive up here. This is our flash drive, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the UEFI version of the flash drive. That will give us a little bit faster boot times. So enter there. Alright, so at this point just follow the instructions. You're just setting up Windows, so English, yep, next. And so you can either click repair your computer if you had issues and you wanted to reload Windows, but for this one we're just going to install now. So setup is starting. So this might take a little while. So oh, one thing I wanted to note here, right now I don't have a product key, so we can always input it later. So you can just click down here, I don't have a product key, we're going to install Windows 10 Pro. If you end up getting a key for one of the other ones, you can always change it later. So obviously you gotta accept these licenses, which I completely read. And then what we're gonna do is a custom install. So this is our 120 gigabyte SSD, and we definitely want to boot off that. It's a brand new drive, so we don't need to format or anything. So there you go. It's gonna install Windows right now. Might take a little while, so I'll get back to you when that's complete. Okay, so Windows is installed. It's all done. I restarted a few times. It brought me here. So this is a get going fast menu, and what we're going to do is we are going to customize. What I'd like to do is just turn off everything here. Turn off everything. Next. Do not want that. Don't want that. Turn that off. Next. I do use Smart Screen a little bit, so I keep that one. That's the only one I keep on. So here it asks you if you want to sign in with your Microsoft account, so we're just gonna skip that for now. So now it asks me the PC name and then a password, so I'll just put that in. Okay, so the next thing it wants to know is if we're gonna use Cortana. I don't care for Cortana. So just a moment. Installation's all done. First thing you want to do on a new computer build like this, you want to just go to the internet and download your drivers. So the first thing you want to do is go to the motherboard website and download those drivers there. Okay, so we're on the ASRock website. Hit downloads here. Download Windows 10 64-bit. That's what we just installed. So now here's the list of all the drivers that we can install. So the ones I'm going to install right now are the Realtek, the high definition audio, the INF, that's the motherboard, the Intel management, the LAN, although we're using wireless right now. I'm not going to use app charger, don't need floppy. We are going to use the VGA driver and the Intel rapid storage technology. So just click here, USA link on all the ones you want to download. And then we'll catch up with you when that's done. Okay, so while those drivers are downloading, the other thing you want to do is you want to go to the NVIDIA website, because I have an NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti, and you want to get the latest driver for that. So Windows 10 64-bit, and so there's the latest one, 378. So you want to agree and download that. Alright, so once those are all downloaded, they're stored in your downloads folder by default right here. And what I like to do is I just make a drivers folder, and I'll unzip all these and then put them in the drivers folder and install them. So you can tell right now I'm installing the first driver, which is the INF driver for the chipset, and already it looks like there's some updates going on to the video card or something. The screen resolution changed. So that's fine. Every time it asks you to restart your computer, you can go ahead to restart your computer, at least for the chipset driver. So it should be pretty quick since I have it on an SSD. Okay, so all the drivers are done installing, and now what we're going to do is connect that hard drive disk. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn it off for that and install the SATA cable and the power cable, and then what we'll do is we will show you how to configure that. Alright, so just restarted. After the drive's plugged in, I was able to close everything up since that was the last thing I needed to connect. All you gotta do is you go in your file explorer here, right click on this PC, manage, and then here in the corner you'll see disk management. So what should happen is if it recognizes your hard drive, this this here pop up. So what you're going to want to do is click GPT if you're over 2 terabytes and MBR if you're under. So right now I got a 1 terabyte, so I'm going to hit MBR, and then it should boot it. So unallocated, perfect. Okay, it's unallocated right now, so all you need to do is right click on it, click new simple volume, and that'll bring you to the wizard. You always want to have the maximum size here. Then you could assign a letter. I think I'm going to use T. You want to use NTFS default, and then I just called it 1 terabyte storage. So what you want to do is you want to perform a quick format. Unless it's a used drive, then you'll want to do a full format. But this will take no time, and the full format will take a little longer. So you want to finish that, and now it's just, you can see it's formatting right here, and there's my computer telling me that it just recognized it. You can see under my PC I got the 1 terabyte storage there, and my local disk, which is my solid state hard drive. Okay, so the last thing you want to do now is check for updates. So you can just click updates here, and it should be the first thing that pops up. So check for updates, yes, and it's probably gonna download a few updates, want you to restart, and then essentially you just keep doing it over and over again until you don't have any more updates to install. So that might take a little while.